Is it better now? So hello again. You are on our special live stream today, special edition, Millions Missing. Today is May 12th, and it's International and Global Awareness Day for chronic immunological and neurological diseases, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, and different other invisible and chronic illnesses that people suffer all over the world. Uh, and before we start on our live stream today, I just wanted to um, start with a little video that maybe will um, be the best introduction to what it means to people like me, and maybe to you as well, or your loved ones that suffer from chronic illnesses. Um, so if you can just hang out with me for a second. And
I'm the care partner of Josephine Brad, who's had ME for 15 years.
This is my nephew, Jameson Hill. He's been sick for about 5 years. I'm here for my friend Milan. At the end, she's now been in bed for 7 years, and she's just completely lost her life.
There are no FDA-approved treatments. There have been no clinical trials for medications for ME, and we have been ignored.
All kinds of other diseases which are serious, and we know that, but boy, ME/CFS is one that's been missed. Someone forgot about it a long time ago.
Because I have not been able to receive Social Security benefits, my income is state welfare. I live on $197 a month because Social Security says that I made this all up. I have never been able to see a doctor that understands my disease.
This is just some pictures of my son. There he is protecting his sister. And then down here at the bottom is what he looks like now.
I was well, and I had so many dreams. But when you get sick like I did, you expect that there will be help. That even if there is no treatment, there will be care.
And it must be acknowledged that this disease has the ability to be the crisis of our time.
This needs to stop. We need government funding. We need people to realize this is real.
Our governments across the world say, do not take action on this crisis. Then this pattern is due to repeat itself.
Today is proof that we can come together and we can speak with a louder voice than we ever have. Today is only the beginning.
this initiative of mine is part of the hashtag Me Action, hashtag of Millions Missing activities that they are doing, as you could see, in more than 100 countries all around the world, and have done for a couple of years already. And every year there is more and more people involved in this. So I decided to do this as a dedication to those that are missing. Why I chose to do it today as well is because it's a very close theme to me as well. For those of you who have been on our live streams before, on the ones that I did together with my husband Andrew, sometimes you hear him saying that I'm not sleeping or I can't really make it. It's because I suffer myself from fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome. And it has been a couple of years of struggle to diagnose uh, this disease as the same as these two that I suffer from, same as lots of other invisible illnesses, are very hard to diagnose, are often misdiagnosed. Um, but nevertheless, it makes a lot of people all around the world suffer and not being able to take and participate in their daily lives, in work life, in social life, and therefore hashtag millions missing, because unfortunately they're not with us, although I'm sure a lot of them would want to. Um, so thank you so much for those of you who are right here. I just wanted to acknowledge those of you who are in the chat before we continue on today. And I appreciate a lot all the great support that I have here from all of you guys. Let me open the chat and see who I can see there. Okay. So who do we have here today? I can say a big hi to everybody who's here supporting with me this initiative and supporting Millions Missing. Erwin the Paid Tourist is in here, Erica Mullins, Calvin Climber, Nathan Likes Drums, Not Like Others, Round Tokyo One Way, Roundhouse Ranch Barbecue, hello. Panic the Videos is in here as well, Terrell, and This Natural Journey Tracking Studios. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. And for those of you who are not in the chat, welcome as well. If you haven't yet tweeted this out, I would really appreciate it if you can press that share button and share it on Facebook or Twitter and let people know so they can join our conversation. See if they can share their experience or just listen and have some information that they can have about themselves or about their loved ones. I'm sure there are lots of people out there that suffer from these illnesses and are not voicing it, because oftentimes has become a partly shame or embarrassing thing to admit that you suffer from something that is physically invisible oftentimes, but is so debilitating. Oftentimes, I think those who suffer from this disease, and I can speak to myself too, we don't want to talk about it because we feel that we are not going to be believed or trusted, that what we talk about, the way how we feel like, is true. So therefore, I'm sure that even if you don't know a certain person that suffers from fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, lupus, chemical sensitivity syndrome, or any other illnesses that are quite invisible, I'm pretty sure that there are people in your life that have one of these or a couple of these, and you're just not aware of it because, unfortunately, they're not feeling comfortable enough in their life to share about it. So let me proceed. I have some information to share with you guys. I also was planning today to have two amazing guests that were going to share their stories today, but it is hashtag Millions Missing. And this live stream is an amazing or sad evidence to how true this hashtag is. I was planning on two amazing girls joining me today. One of them, as you can see in the description of the video, Stephanie, and the other one, London, who one of them suffers from lupus, and the other one is just in between of diagnosis of chronic fatigue syndrome and chronic inflammation syndrome disease. And unfortunately, London had to go to emergency today because that's how bad her flare-up was. And Stephanie is suffering from her flare-up as well, big migraine and pain. And unfortunately, they're not going to be able to attend my live stream today. But I understand. I completely understand that. Um, it is hard. And part of this disease is that it's so unpredictable. I think a lot of times um, people that we live with, or those who are aware that we suffer from these diseases, are quite confused about how unpredictable this disease is. We always laugh that the only predictable thing is how unpredictable it is. You can be feeling amazing one day and being able to wash dishes and run around with your kids and maybe go even to dance a little bit in the club, or if you don't feel as well, maybe you are able to watch a movie or read a book. But then another day when you wake up, you are not able to do anything. You have a headache, fatigue, your bones, your muscles, your joint ache, and you can't do nothing. It's unpredictable. You don't know how one day from another it's going to be, and therefore planning is pretty hard to do with us. And therefore, today it's only me, although it was planned to be three of us. I hope you understand that and stick with me just for a little bit. It's not going to be our regular 2 hour stream. I'm going to try to fit in an hour. and um, yeah, so stick around. Um, I have prepared a little slide for you guys, so I hope you enjoy that. And let me let me see. Beauty, you're not feeling well. I completely understand that. And that's why, if you have been at our live streams before, I always say that life first, because I know how hard it is when you're not feeling well to do something, even if you don't suffer from any of these diseases. So it's okay. Take care of yourself. It's okay. And just continue on with a little slideshow of uh, our theme today. Also, there's lots of information in this description below this video, including the links to different resources that you can access to read more about this activity, about this diseases, as well as down below at the very end, there is a link where you can download for free a family and loved one pledge, where you pledge to take care and love your loved one the way they are, despite their illnesses. You can print it out and give it to your loved one that maybe suffers from any of the chronic diseases, and just to show them one more time that you love them very much. So that's just down below in the description. Um, and so if you stick around with me, I'm going to share with you a little bit more information. There. Yeah, so today is hashtag Millions Missing. You all probably see a lot of that um, in the um, in the social medias today. On Twitter, it's trending. On Instagram, there's lots of pictures of people with their um, pairs of shoes, which is a symbol for hashtag Millions Missing. Um, Also on Facebook, this initiative is going on all across the globe in more than 100 countries all around the globe, as well as virtually on different platforms from different people via live streams and posting pictures and so on. A little bit of history to this day. Um, this day was actually established by Tom Hennessy, the founder of first CIND Incorporated, which is basically was decided to do this awareness day for all the patients. Why 12th of May? Because it was spring, the beginning of the spring, and most of the people who suffer from chronic diseases are very hard to get out for them in the winter, especially in the cold days. morally and physically as well, because oftentimes it affects us of how we feel if it's cold or rainy. So that was one of the reasons why the day was chosen to be as a awareness day for this theme. But also the other reason was because the all-known Florence Nightingale, the amazing woman who lived in 19th century, who established Red Cross Foundation and is a symbol icon for all the nurses out there. It was her birthday, May 12th. And according to historical evidence, for the last 50 years of her life, she actually suffered herself from chronic fatigue syndrome and was quite bedridden for the most of her suffering years. So therefore, May 12th, a day of her birthday, is as an amazing tribute to her and reminder to everybody else um, about this day and people who suffer from chronic myalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, and fibromyalgia and all the other invisible illnesses. Um, yes, and as I said, the symbol nowadays of millions missing hashtag is pair of shoes. Online or outside, if you go for a walk today and you notice pair of shoes lonely sitting on the steps or by the door, um, uh, it's because the person most likely suffering from one of these diseases, and that's their way of showing the world that hey, I'm here and I'm suffering. I want to be heard. I want to be seen. Um, Under the invisible and chronic illnesses, there is lots of diseases, and I'm just mentioning a couple of them, but of course there are numerous and numerous of them that are under the same umbrella. Myalgic encephalomyelitis is the same disease as chronic fatigue syndrome. Only recently it has been renamed to myalgic encephalomyelitis. It has changed its name numerous times, or a couple of times at least, and this is the latest name for it. Mostly because they are getting, thankfully, closer and closer to detecting the um, sources or the reasons for the disease as well as symptoms. Um, so therefore, it's called myalgic encephalomyelitis. Also under the same umbrella, we have multiple chemical sensitivity, fibromyalgia, lupus, Gulf War syndrome, and many other ones. And what is very common among all of these and many other chronic and invisible illnesses are the symptoms. Oftentimes it's chronic pain. It can be in the joints, can be in muscles. It can be in a form of headaches. Oftentimes, it can be in the form of migraines. Uh, it also can be nausea, dizziness, brain fog, um, problems concentrating, focusing on the task, staying on the task, memory problems, or even sometimes memory loss, sometimes language problems, sleep issues, falling asleep or waking up oftentimes through the night, either because of emotional disturbances or physical pain. The reasons can be different. Or sleeping too much, sleeping long hours and not getting the relief afterwards, after waking up. Sometimes it also accompanies with a rash or skin sensitivity, often undetected and not really understandable for what. It's not really reaction to any certain thing, although it might be, or it might be the reaction to many different materials or um, food or chemicals, anything. Fatigue is also oftentimes a big standby symptom to all of these diseases, and especially for chronic fatigue syndrome, where fatigue is a big part of it. Myalgic encephalomyelitis means that it's a total overexertion after exercise. And if a normal person um, requires, after a gym workout, let's say, maybe a couple hours or maybe even less, depending on their physique, to recover from physical exercise. Well, for a person with chronic fatigue syndrome, it can take up to a couple of days or even a week. The body doesn't regenerate the same way as it would for a healthy person, and therefore it causes people oftentimes to move around less, which oftentimes goes into the circle of not moving at all, or if moving, then being in a lot of pain. Fibromyalgia, which I also have, the same as chronic fatigue syndrome, most of the time the biggest symptom for it is pain, um, all over the body pain. It is chronic pain condition. It's still quite unknown what the reasons for it are, but hopefully they're getting closer and closer for detecting um, the reasons for it. Now, if I just uh, if I just pause the sharing just for a second, I wanted to see who are there on our chat right now, just to say hi and see how you guys are doing. Cher Erickson also uh, is in the chat, and that's how I roll. Um, oh, you both are there. That's so nice. Yeah, your wife has lupus. Um, um, no, I'm not going to 11, unfortunately. I'm more than welcome to share the information. I'm probably going to be going until 9 Eastern. It's 8:25 right now. But more than welcome to share information. You can come on if you want to. As I said, I'm millions missing my two guests tonight, so it's just me and my information. But if you want to share yours, more than welcome. Hello, geeks. Nice to see you today. I hope you girls are feeling fine. Christopher Spence is in today as well. And Razorian Buck is in. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for sticking around today. I know it's a bit different live stream than we usually have. How about you, boys and girls, the guys? Is any of you suffering from any of the diseases that I mentioned, or do you know anybody that suffers from it? Share your thoughts about it or experience that you have dealing with it yourself or with people around you. I would appreciate. Thank you, geeks, for the compliment. Today is just me. It's my special edition dedication to raising awareness to #MillionsMissing. So it's just me today. Okay, well, you guys think if you want to share your information or experience, and if not, that's okay too. I'm just going to continue on with my presentation. If you can stick around with me just for a little bit more. Hey. Okay, so we're back to my slideshow today. Shocking are the facts that how many people are actually suffering from this debilitating disease. It's unbelievable how many people actually do suffer from one or a couple of them. While gathering the information from the World Health Organization today for this particular slide, I was surprised about the information that only 1 in 20 people in the world are not suffering from any disease. 1 in 20. That is astonishing. It is astonishing how much our population is actually suffering. Um, and even more surprisingly so in the 21st century. I think the more I think about it, the more I'm surprised about how little we actually know about treating humankind. We are past different diseases that people were dealing centuries ago, and we have established vaccines. Um, Whoever are for or against them, but um, we are growing into getting to know humanity, but we're still not there. 1 in 20 people are suffering from something. That's quite a huge. One is not suffering from anything. I'm sorry. 1 in 20 people is not suffering from anything. So if you have 20 people in a room, then only one is going to be healthy, and 19 is going to suffer from something. That's quite a number. So as far as chronic and invisible illnesses, 3 to 6% of the world population suffer from fibromyalgia, which is unbelievable number. And that's only the ones that are officially registered, because around 85, and it's a huge number, 85 to 95% of cases haven't been detected yet. So there are people walking around there that feel awful, that don't know what is going on with them, and they don't have a diagnosis. 85 to 95% of those who would have the fibromyalgia diagnosis are actually not diagnosed. That means also they're not getting proper help or treatment. Around 5 million people worldwide has lupus, which is also a huge number, and around 17 to 24 million people in the world have myalgic encephalomyelitis or chronic fatigue syndrome. Um, in Quebec, where I am now, around 1.5 million people um, is suffering from chronic pain syndrome, and well, which includes any kind disease that causes prolonged chronic pain. Those numbers are unbelievable, and if to think that so many people have to suffer, um, it's quite shocking. To me, at least, it is. Tell me in the chat in the comments if it does for you too. Um, Oftentimes, people get stuck with how to deal with their illness um, once they get diagnosed, and the path to the diagnosis itself is quite hard. I can, before I share this, I think I can also share you my story about it. Um, my path to diagnosis started probably around 4 years ago, which really is not such a big time, considering that lots of people live with the symptoms for decades and still are not getting um, still not getting any diagnosis or any help from medical system. So I can consider myself lucky in that, I guess. It started with me getting very tired, and tired is understatement. Fatigued in very in places that are um, that you wouldn't usually think of being tired or falling asleep on a regular basis. Concerts was one of them. A loud concert with lots of people, something that I would be excited about. I would be falling asleep, and no, not because it was awfully, uninteresting and boring. Mostly because I just couldn't help it. Or going to the store, or in the morning, just after waking up, and going around the places for an hour or two, I would all of a sudden feel this unbelievable wave of being tired, and I just couldn't understand why. It gradually became worse and worse, and also the pain started to become bigger and bigger in everywhere. If you know the legs, arms, back. First, it was just a couple of days a month, and then it became through the years a couple of days in a week. And now I'm at the point where the pain is there all the time. It just varies in degrees of it. So it's always there. It just sometimes a bit lower, sometimes higher, but my average pain is probably around 7 in a scale from 0 to 10, with 10 being the highest. So it's quite high, but managed to deal with it. There's no other choice, right? um, Geeks is trying to push with it through the gym. Oh, you've been diagnosed with fibromyalgia 1997. Wow. Thank you for sharing it. You have arthritis and the symptoms of lupus now. Haven't been diagnosed with lupus yet because you don't know healthcare, but you have the symptoms. Yes. Yeah. And the thing also, it oftentimes gets misdiagnosed. The symptoms of all of these diseases that we're talking about today are so close that oftentimes you get diagnosed with one thing, and then it gets changed afterwards. Um, yeah, that's the thing. I first was when I was diagnosed, I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia first, and only after numerous walks to different doctors and ending up at neurologist, he actually suggested that I also have chronic fatigue syndrome, which apparently is a slightly different thing than fibromyalgia, and it makes sense because I do have a pain. I do have pain and fatigue, and it has to be dealt in a different manner. So I can see his point, although maybe I didn't when he was just telling me about it the first time. I can see the point. Um, you know, that I have both. But yes, it can develop into something else. Unfortunately, these diseases come a lot of times with different comorbidities, so to say. Oftentimes, also with depression, that is questionable if that could be the symptom of it or the consequence of it. Um, you can expand on that because obviously, if you do have chronic pain or chronic fatigue, you don't get outside as much as you would like to. You're you're limited in what you can do as opposed to what you want to do. So oftentimes it is depressive, and people tend to fall in depressions, and lots of people unfortunately decide to give up as well because it's impossible to deal with the amount of pain or fatigue on a daily basis, which is hard, which once again is millions missing. Um, they're unseen, and then they're gone. Um, oh, it is hard. Sorry, it's quite an emotional issue for me. I don't really talk about it too much. I don't really like telling people that I have it. I only recently probably have voiced it a couple more times, but for the longest time I wasn't even voicing it much for different reasons, I guess. Um, APGH Travels, hello. Who's your back? Hi, hello, and Dexter. Yes, I'm alone today. I'm doing a special edition #MillionsMissing, sharing my experience and talking as well about #MillionsMissing, which is about invisible illnesses, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, um, and different other diseases. They're the same way, Beauty. Yeah, it's hard. It's almost as I was mentioning at the beginning. It's almost like um, you don't wanna voice it because when you say it, it it sounds more real. It's so confusing. You know that you have it, but when you say it becomes more real. Um, yes, thank you, ATJ Travels. There are a lot of people, I'm sure, you know somebody who has it. You might not know that they have it, but you know them. That's how widespread, unfortunately, it is. Uh, yes, that's her role. That would be amazing. Yeah, I would love to be a guest if you would like to, or we can host it here. It's up to you. I'm all up to it. Um, I wonder, geeks, how is it going with the gym with you? Because I think a lot of for me is a scare or being afraid of hurting too much. Although the pain is already so high on average that I guess I'm afraid to have those 3 points till the extreme pain being taken away. But I do know that it is a devil's circle. The less we exercise or move around, the more we are in pain. And the studies have shown that people who exercise at least a little bit and pace themselves actually feel better in the long term. Um, so theoretically, I do know that, but practically, I'm still not there. So, way to go, geeks, for doing that. I'm sure in the long term, it's going to help you feel better. Hi, bottle caps, and hi, UI speaks. Um, Thank you for coming in today. As I was just explaining, we are having a special edition stream hashtag MillionsMissing as a part of hashtag Me Action initiative, raising awareness about chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, and different other chronic immunological and neurological diseases. Today is National or Global Awareness Day, so I decided to do a little live stream about that since I'm suffering from it myself. Um, so yeah, so continuing on about my journey about it. Of course, the first time when I didn't want to go to any doctors because I thought, well, I'm just it was I think it first started in spring, so I thought, well, the vitamins are lacking. This been long winter. We have long ones in Canada here, and therefore, I just kind of dismissed it. But then the more often and the more severe um, the times of pain and fatigue were coming, I realized that I do need help. And thankfully, my family doctor is um, very welcoming and listening, which doesn't happen too often. And it is very hard, but very important, although not always possible to find a doctor that understands you. They might not understand the disease itself as much, but um, they listen to you and then they can refer you to somebody else that knows more about it since they are not the specialists. But my road to treatment started with my family doctor. Was thankfully is really understanding. And the next couple of years, um, it was a lot of appointments. It still is, but those couple of years ago, it was a lot of appointments of rheumatologists, different kind of rheumatologists, and I didn't even know that there are so many different rheumatologists. And blood work's done, and other, people who specializes in allergies, and MRIs and CT scans and uh, I mean, I had appointments like a couple months, a couple for like every week, and also coincidentally, it went together with trying different medication. Um, I think it for a long time, for well, for at least a year or two, it felt like shooting fish in the barrel. Um, they kind of was just dropping different kind of pills on me and trying which one is going to stick. Or it did feel a little bit like an episode from a house. my favorite medical TV show called House. Um, uh, it's funny and quirky, but at the same time, it often felt like he was trying just anything to diagnose people. And well, if something stuck, then that was a winning case. And I think that's how I felt. Nobody really understood what is it. Nobody really understood how to diagnose it. There is no test that can detect fibromyalgia. There's very little to detect chronic fatigue syndrome. The only way how to detect it is to eliminate other diseases um, and different subjective testing. Like, for example, fibromyalgia is oftentimes tested by 20 sensitive points, pressure points, which the doctor basically presses, applies pressure um, on the 20 different points on your body, and depending how much pain you feel and where um, they diagnose if you have fibromyalgia or not. Well, the latest studies show that it actually is very subjective, and lots of fibromyalgia patients don't have this exact pressure pain points that, like in my case, I have pain, overall body pain. So I can't really point out or, say, well, okay, this hurts and this not. It's an overall body pain. For those of you who don't know how it feels, and I hope you don't, um, imagine your worst day after a workout. And then you go to sleep, you wake up, still sore from, yesterday's marathon or workout, and you are sick. You have flu. You are sore, your head aches, your, eyes are itching. You can barely get out of the bed. Um, you're a little bit dizzy. Sometimes you get hot, and then you get cold again. You can't find a comfortable place. You put the light on, and the light is just bothering you. It's just getting you so antsy and on the edge. And you're still sore from yesterday, from the gym, and now this cold, this flu is upon you, and you just don't know how are you gonna deal with it because you just don't have energy anymore. That's how it feels like. And it doesn't like feel like one day. It feels most of the time like that, just in various degrees. But yeah, when somebody asks me how does it feel like, I usually say it's your worst um, flu day and after gym workout day at the same time. That's probably the best way to describe it. So yeah, so after a year or so visiting different doctors and doing different blood work done and trying out different medicine, um, I was quite discouraged. Nobody, it didn't really get any better. Nobody really know anymore what to refer me to. And at some point, it just hits the ceiling where nobody really knows how to help. And you're just like saying, "Oh, I'm so tired. I am in pain. Just help me somehow. Where else I could go?" So, as oftentimes it works with people, um, you either you either run or you fight. And I think maybe in my characteristics, I decided to fight and try to find solutions myself. So um, I uh, I found this amazing clinic in Montreal, which is Alan Edwards Pain Clinic in Montreal General Hospital, and um, that is a clinic that actually deals with it. They deal with fibromyalgia, they deal with chronic fatigue syndrome, they deal with chronic pain. Um, and I'm thankful I found it, but I'm still quite baffled, if I may say, that it nobody told me about it. None of the doctors that I have seen in that year, numerous doctors, told me that it exists. Um, I found it myself, and even then, it was pretty hard to get in there. It required a special kind of referral, but you know, uh, um,
still got in there, and I'm thankful for it. I just am wondering sometimes why all this information is not out there. So if you are in Montreal or somewhere in Quebec, reach out to me if you need help, and maybe I can guide you better into all this network of dealing with the disease, because it definitely it saves time if you know somebody who have gone through it. I wish somebody would have told me about this clinic a couple of years ago, and I would have started with it instead of being bounced from one doctor to another. Um, so, oh, hi again for everybody who just came in. Um, for those of you who are new, I'm just doing a special edition live stream today, #MillionsMissing, to raise awareness for different chronic immunological and neurological diseases, including chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia. So that's what we're doing today. If you have any your own experience or you have a loved one who's suffering from it, please share your experience if you may. Uh, it's a very supportive environment right here. And I'm just sharing mine. We were supposed to have two amazing guests today, but one of them is in the emergency room tonight, and the other one is suffering from debilitating migraine and pain right now. So uh, they are missing, the same as millions of others. And I'm here with you. So hopefully you can stick around for just a little bit more. Um, Ashley Black has a lot of YouTube videos. That's how I was saying. And Facebook group called Fascia Blasters. Oh, I will check that out. I always try and check it out because I think it's important that we check different information there. Some of it might not work for everybody, but some of it might, and it's great to have these resources. There's also, for example, for people who suffer from fibromyalgia, there's also a fibromyalgia association page and numerous fibromyalgia support groups on Facebook as well as on the web where you can be anonymous and ask your questions and share your experience and also see how other people are doing. There are also often people like husbands or kids or parents of the people who suffer from it that have their own groups as well. So if sometimes if you are someone who has a loved one who suffered from it, you can find a group for you that maybe would help you answer some questions that you otherwise are not willing to ask to your loved one yourself. Support groups are a really amazing thing. Speaking about support groups, I am right now a part of a pain management group in Ellen Edwards Clinic as well, and I must say it is very helpful. Um, I was part of a toolkit um, pain management group, a little bit smaller group in a Queen Elizabeth complex in Montreal as well before that. And this group is a bit bigger, but and longer in time. But I think it helps a lot, not only educate and being informative to us as patients to how to deal with chronic pain in different various levels, from emotional to physical to sleep and to pain relief to stress reduction to reframing your thinking. But it also provides that supportive environment, that live environment, one that on that oftentimes we lack, in that it's hard to find when your friends can't rely on how you feel or how you plan your time with them. Oftentimes you get misunderstood and you start to lose friends or people around you because they can't count on you. It's great to have a place where people understand how you feel. Uh, so if you can reach out to your local community out there and find a chronic pain group, it doesn't have to be exact disease group that you have, but just a chronic pain group in general. Um, I think, from my experience at least, it is very helpful. Um, Bottle caps. A lady, one of the two guests that I was planning to have today, unfortunately notified me that she was on the way to ER. So unfortunately, she wasn't able, obviously, attend my live stream today. And that's a part of it. We never know. We never know. We call ourselves spoonies. uh, spoonies understand, but we never know. And therefore, I'm alone. We're supposed to be three of us here today, but it's just me. So I hope she feels better tomorrow. Although the statement, "I hope you feel better," it's kind of dual too, because it's chronic, right? So you're not gonna really feel better in general. Um, but just hopefully, maybe tomorrow is gonna be better than today. That's all we can say. Um, yeah. So there, I got caught up in talking about myself. So talking about the way how to deal with it, and that's where we started to talking about support group. What I have understood by going through all of these doctors and treatments and the list of medications that I have tried is, a couple of pages long at least. Um, um, and it also bothered me. I'm only 34, and I have three amazing kids, and I would want to be running around and with them, going to the playground when they feel like that, or just playing with them when they ask me to play. Um, Unfortunately, oftentimes I'm not able to, and I oftentimes feel guilty about it because it is hard choice of being the best mother or wife or a friend you can be, and um, being gentle to yourself at the same time, knowing that you'll have to pay for each of these activities afterwards. Um, and yeah, and also part of it is medication, as I was saying. Um, at some point in all this journey of finding diagnosis and treatment, my daily routine started with 10 different pills in the morning, um, 10 different medicine. And every time I looked in the cup, that I had all those 10 pills in the morning, I was thinking that I'm killing my kidneys so much. And if I'm not, if I'm gonna emotionally and physically being able to fight through this in the long term, I was, uh, I was afraid I'm gonna kill my kidney first. That's gonna kill me more than anything. Um, and doctors say, no, no, you have to take it, you have to feel better. But at some point, you kind of start questioning, like, do I really need all these 10 pills? Am I really feeling better taking these? Is it really helping? And if it's not helping, then why am I taking these? So I started questioning that. And now I'm down to, well, two pills right now and two supplements and one emergency pill. Which is still a lot, since it is on a daily basis, um, but it's still less than 10 pills. So it is an improvement, and hopefully we're getting somewhere with that. Hello, Ultimate Spike. Hello, and welcome. And by Rome, thank you for staying with us. How did you first notice that you have this? Do you speak about it already? It's okay. Ask questions. That's fine. And I did mention it a little bit at first, but I can repeat that as well. I started to notice it because I started to feel very fatigued because, I'm sorry, tired is understatement to how I felt, in very inappropriate places in various times of the day. Like I would be falling asleep in the most interesting conversations or loud concerts or events, or going shopping, um, not because I was bored, although that's the first thing you might think, but because I, I just couldn't help it. It just felt like all of a sudden, like you got hit with the wave of being exhausted. You would be fine, but then imagine you're standing in the middle of the sea or the ocean and getting that wave on of the water. Well, I felt the same way every time, just being hit with that. And then the pain added to it. And first it was just a couple of times, you know, a month, and then it gradually increased a couple of times a week, and now it's every day. Now it's my chronic state of mind and body, unfortunately. Um, they do say, though, that fibromyalgia, for example, is a disease that is a plateau. You don't get worse, but um, from my experience, I can't really agree to that because it does feel to me that it is getting worse. Um, and the average pain level increases. My average pain level now is around 7, but it's getting towards 8. Yeah, before that it was, when it was starting to be every day, maybe it was 6, 7. Well, now it's 7, 8. So um, I think it is increasing. It is getting slightly worse, so to say, but we're still fighting, right? So yeah, so that's how it started. If you have any other questions, fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue syndrome, cuffs I have. Um, it wasn't all of a sudden. It was just like I started to notice these places that I would fall asleep and I couldn't help it, and I started to. I would be very very tired, like exhausted, beyond exhausted. Um, I would wake up in the morning and would feel like I didn't sleep at all. And yes, we all feel like that sometimes, but it would just starting to become more and more often. And first, I didn't really pay much attention to it. As I was saying, I thought it started to happen in the spring, in early spring. So I thought, well, that's lack of vitamins, don't have much fresh air. Maybe I should go out, for walks more or eat more vitamins or better food and things like that. I wasn't really paying too serious attention. But when it started to interfere with my daily functions, with my ability to do housework, with my ability to spend time with kids, with my family, go out, with my ability to work, um, that's when I started to pay more attention to it and started to try to seek for help. As I was saying, for me, it's been a little bit more than 40 years of actively feeling it and trying to find the proper treatment for it. But I know that some people deal with it for decades and unsuccessfully misdiagnosed or undiagnosed. Fortunately enough, I am diagnosed, and therefore it is easier to find help, although it's still not easy. It's just a little bit easier. Where do I hurt? It my ache is overall body pain. There are, extremities hurt more, like hands and legs um, hurt more, lower back sometimes more, but it is overall body pain in general. It's easier to point at places that don't hurt than places that hurt. And when we go to the hospital, every time when I go to the doctor's visit, they give you this sheet where you have to shade in the body and places where it hurts the most. Well, you got to cross the place where it hurts the most, and then you got to shade in the places that are in pain. And my little people there are always, almost all of them are shaded in because I really can't detect one certain place. Um, Nicole, not really chronically, but I have had months of similar living. I hope it's not anything of that because all of us do have spring tiredness, and we do get exhausted from amount of work and school. I know you have at the same time. Um, it's okay, but when it starts to interfere with your daily actions on a regular, prolonged basis, I think um, you should pay more attention to it and see if it's just that, and if it is, that's fine, and if it's not, then it's good to get treatments, right? Um, you have drug-induced brain fog and low energy levels, but thankfully no real pain as such. Brain fog, yeah, that's a good thing to have too. I have it as well, and may I ask why do you have, or what are you taking for it? If it's okay if you're not, I don't want to answer. Um, yes, brain fog is a different thing altogether as well. I do find that I do find that I have problems focusing more and more, and I don't know if it is because it's actually changes in the brain, or is it because my body is just so tired and exhausted from pain, and all the resources from the body are just running to manage the pain, that it's nothing left in the brain. But I oftentimes feel like there's just my brain is full of cotton balls, as I say. And Andrew would laugh now and say that's my European expression, but that's how it feels. It's just sometimes it can't. My language gets so um, so stumbled. Thank you, honey. Sometimes, and it's not because I don't know what to say. It's because I can't find words. And yes, we all have that, but it's on the daily basis. I can't, like, I stumble. I can't remember things. Um, I noticeably know that my memory has decreased a lot. Like, I have graduated university. I have a degree in university. I was a pretty good student, I must say. And the amount of things that we had to study was overwhelming. And now I wouldn't be able to do any of that. I don't know how I would be able to remember. I have trouble remembering 10 words memory test, which I didn't have any problems before. So I definitely notice problems in my memory as well as language, as well as concentration and focus. And I'm not really sure if it's side effect from the pills, since I have taken off so many of them, and the ones that I take now are really don't really cause that as a side effect. So um, yeah, so I kind of starting to accept that it's part of what I have, I guess. Yeah, cancer patient exhibit drug fogs as well. Yes, that's right. That's very, very true. That's very true. It's amazing that you're sharing this. I hope it's not like my injuries we're discussing. It makes you more aware of it temporarily. Oh, thank you. No, I really don't really talk too much about it. I really don't like. I think Andrew might mention it more than I do about me. I really don't talk about it too much, and um, I think yes, it does makes us more aware that we have it, but not talking about it is not gonna make it disappear. It's not gonna make me focus more on it, because it's already there with a pain level of 7 in average, and exhaustion or fatigue level of sometimes I can't roll out of my bed for half an hour because I just can't feel my arm get lifting up. uh, I don't think I could be unfocused. It's there. It's like things when we don't talk about them. Well, if we don't talk about them, we can pretend it's not there, but it's still there. I think sometimes by not talking about it, I pretend to myself, I lie to myself that I don't have it. But the amount of everything, it's pretty hard to deny. And I still appreciate the fact that I'm in much better spot than many people with chronic fatigue syndrome, for example, are. Um, I'm in much better place than lots of people are. There are lots of people who are so bedridden from pain and fatigue that they are not able to get out of bed for days and weeks, and they're completely cut off and isolated from anything around them. Um, I I think that's what gives me strength of not saying, I can't take this anymore, although I really, really want to sometimes just say it, I can't take it anymore. Um, but I know that there are lots of people that have it much worse than I do. And it's not just a generalized statement, there are people in the world that have it less fortunate. I know it could be worse. I know also that I'm in a very lucky place having found um, the treatment team right now in Ellen Pain Edwards unit in Montreal General Hospital um, in such a relatively short time, almost 5 years. It feels like a lot, but as I said, people for decades sometimes can't find the doctors that they need to, can't find the people that want to listen to them. Lots of people have to deal with the stigma of being shamed into, oh, you don't have it, oh, it's all in your head, even from doctors, from professionals. Um, and lots of people start to think, well, you know what, maybe it is in my head because the doctor said so, but it's not. And more studies on this, and this is why I'm doing part of this live stream, is part of hashtag Me Action movement to raise awareness today on May 12th about this issue, to raise awareness and maybe show how many people actually are suffering, that more research is needed for all those millions and millions of people around the world that are suffering from this, because there's so much unknown about it that even health professionals are questioning the existence of these diseases, and that's discouraging. Um, talking about being fortunate, I wanted to share with you um, a little clip from a movie that I watched a while ago, and um, it's a documentary, and it has participated in the Sundance Festival, I think last year, and also it they started to show it on Netflix recently as well. It has received awards, uh, and I think it shows a lot of what is it, uh, how is it to feel or to start suffering from chronic fatigue syndrome. But I would add to it that it's not just chronic fatigue syndrome people that live like that or feel like that. Lots of these invisible illnesses, you can put any of those in a place of ME or CFS, and you would see the same. So I'm just gonna play a little clip. It's just a short clip. It's less than 2 minutes, and talking about how bad it can get. Um, this is movie that was made by. This is a movie that was made by sufferer herself. She was going through the same things that I am talking about going through as well, and decided to raise awareness by doing this documental calling Unrest. And the title of the movie is Unrest. And it talks about her own experience going through it, as well as experience of people around the world, which she contacted through the camera, through doing interviews or talking with them, uh, through through camera on social media, and only then realizing how many actually people are there. So I wanted to share that with you. And if you have a chance, if you have Netflix, go and check it out. And if you don't, I have a link below in the description in the video where you can see how to purchase or where to watch the movie as well. It's really worth watching it. So just if you can bear with me, and I will switch screens. Stay with me. Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to be sharing the screen right now. So this is a movie, and Rhett's talking about how bad it can get and how bad it is for many of us.
From as early as I can remember, I wanted to swallow the world whole. Anything was possible. I just thought I would have more time. I don't know what I did to myself. I don't think I can get up off the couch. My brain is misfiring. Sometimes I wouldn't be able to speak.
Wow.
If you say too little, they can't help you. And if you say too much, they think you're a mental patient.
The doctor would tell me, "You're just dehydrated." Everyone gets stressed. Then I went online and found thousands of other people just like me.
Yeah, I'm completely bedridden.
It's like I'm just watching my life disappear.
I have ME, CFS, that's chronic fatigue syndrome.
Historically, you can see illnesses very similar to this called many different things.
Saw someone collecting the other day for ME. That's the one where don't feel like going to work today.
Chronic fatigue syndrome. Yeah, I'm tired too.
When medicine has no answers for you, where do you turn? Oh my God.
It's like the craziest high school science experiment you've ever done.
Just because it's crazy doesn't mean it's wrong.
You're looking at this camera.
I started filming more and more people all over the world from my bed.
Hi, Gina.
You know what it is about being observed? Is that people feel sorry for me.
Maybe I'm so sorry.
I have the strength of a mountain.
We're kind of both organizing a day of protest as well as organizing individual protests.
All of those things, those really simple things. There's the sun. That life was gone. But here, I have this new one. And I have to fight for it.
So that's the movie. I hope you can find time to watch it. It's called Unrest, and it really shows what it is about. If you have a chance, give it a try and check it out. So yes, definitely, there's lots of levels of how people feel, and I, as much as I am sharing with you the way it started for me, the way it feels for me on everyday basis, and sometimes, yes, I am not going to deny. I feel sorry for myself, sorry for my family, for my kids, my husband that has to deal with it as well, because it's not just me who suffers from it. It's the whole family that suffers from it as well. It's not only me who has to adjust to the pain levels or fatigue levels that I have. It's also my kids who don't get to go play with mommy as often as they would want to. It's my husband who doesn't see me smiling as much as I used to. it's times when a drive to get a coffee feels like the biggest chore physically, although you really want to get out of the house because you have been for a couple of days in it already. Um, it's a constant struggle and adjustment, and not only for people who suffer it, as I said, but for everybody who's closely involved with the people as well. Hi Doodles and hi Abacus. Thank you very much. Scrumptious Model Trains, thank you for coming in. Mickey Wilson, thank you so much for staying with me. Thank you so much for being a part of this stream. I'm raising awareness today as part of hashtag #MillionsMissing, May 12th, raising awareness about chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, and other chronic and debilitating diseases. It's a global action happening all over the world in more than 100 countries right now, both virtually and on the ground. So welcome if you just came in. That's what the subject of this live stream. All bottle caps is still in care too. Thank you. Thank you. Much appreciated. So yeah, you see, I'm pausing a lot, and it's because I think a lot of the questions I haven't answered myself yet to myself. And I mean, I'm a psychologist by trade, right? I should know. I should know how to deal with it. I'm a psychologist. I should be able to treat myself. But the same as a brain surgeon can't do the surgery on their own brain. And oftentimes shoemaker is without their own shoes. It's easier to say than done. I think I have done a pretty good job of, with regards to fighting through it and just trying not to lose hope, even just a little bit of that, and trying to find solutions, more and more of them, and finding new, doctors, treatments myself, because you got to fight for yourself. Nobody else is going to fight for you. I think I have a pretty good way of reframing my thinking into more positive matter. I think I'm also trying to understand what this has taught me. It probably has challenged me to rethink a lot of things in life in general, in my life, and in life as whole. And I guess it's a good thing. I have learned to not take to my heart a lot of little things, to not stress out about little details. I think I have calmed a lot. I have found a better inner peace. Learn to be responsible about my inner peace myself. I think that's the biggest plus. Oftentimes different outer things, outer people on the outside, things, events on the outside, tend to influence how we feel as people, how happy we are. And I think because a lot of that fight with the pain and fatigue is going on within myself, I have learned to rely on my inner happiness to create it myself. And I think that's the biggest plus out of this. If I can ever see a silver lining on something bad, then that's what it is, I think. Cuffs is saying that it's never easy to be objective of one's own situation. Guilt will worm its way through. The trick is to face it, which you're appearing to be doing. Thank you. I'm on the way. I think guilt is my biggest is my bad word. I say because I tend to feel guilty about lots of things, and especially with my kids and my family, or not, or you know, um, yeah, with time I have learned to put away like practical everyday things that I felt guilty about, like not washing dishes or um, like everyday practical things that I felt guilty about not doing. Um, I don't think I feel as guilty now, maybe sometimes, but the emotional parts of it, like the human interaction parts, I still feel guilty a lot. And I think it is my biggest word of defeat yet is the word guilt. And I think lots of people feel the same way when they suffer from chronic diseases as well. So I'm still on the way of dealing with that. I think you're dealing with it in some way by doing this, raising awareness and helping others. Love and prayers from you. Thank you very much. Thank you. I do appreciate. Um, I can see. Yes, our community is very amazing, very supportive, and very understanding, and that's why I guess I feel comfortable talking about my experience because, as I was saying before, I'm not really talking about that um, too much, but that's okay. Um, so yeah, if you have any questions, don't be shy. Ask me a question. Uh, this is the time. The floor is yours, as my English teacher used to say. And if you have anything to share from your own experience of any way that you were treating your illness or the way you're overcoming things in your life that are uneasy for you, I'm welcome to share that as well. I'm not going to be going on for very long today, so probably getting to the end of my stream. Um, but if you have anything to add, don't be shy. Or be. That's okay. Either or is good. um, so yeah, well, we were talking about the resources and how I deal with this. So I guess we're back to um, my amazing slideshow. Um, and no, don't be scared. There's only 2 slides left. Okay, so let me share with you one of the slides here. Okay. Okay. I really believe that it is important to look at the human being or the health as a whole. I believe in a holistic treatment of the any issues, no matter what are they, because our body, in our body, everything is connected, and beyond our body, everybody is connected. And the planets are connected, the universe is connected. I mean, it might sound stupid, but everything is connected in bigger or smaller form. So especially if we take a body, a person, I think everything counts, no matter if it's a headache or it's emotional distress. I think it has to be treated as a wholesome, in my opinion. And from what I've learned from visiting different doctors and reading research and from my own experience, and is that it pretty much could be possibly pretty effectively applied to chronic diseases as well. Um, and I would put it into 4 big big parts of treatment. Treatment is not really a good word for chronic illnesses. We're going to come up with something else. Can't really treat it. It's never. It's not going to go away. That's why it's called chronic, right? But nevertheless, well, to make yourself feel a bit maybe better. So I think it's very important to focus on one of the parts is emotional support. Why emotional support? Because we are human beings. We need to be social. That's part of our DNA. That's part of our building. No matter, maybe somebody is going to say, "Oh, I don't need anybody. I'm okay on my own." Yes, but we still need that human interaction in some way. We are like wolves. We need to have a pack, even a small one. So if the case is that you can't find emotional support in within your family, maybe, or within your friends, um, then support network, establishing support network practically and emotionally is very important. From practical point of view, it is very important to have at least one other person, uh, if nobody else, that is aware of your situation, that is aware of what you're suffering, what you're going through, um, because they would be the ones that you would be calling for help if you need to go to the emergency, if you are out of your pills but you can't get to the pharmacy, um, if your fridge is empty but you do need food for your energy, somebody that you can call. You definitely need a support network. Even better if it could be a couple people, but at least one other person but you that can be there for you, even just to listen for a little bit of whining. Um, as well, for the emotional support, I think a lot of times, as I was mentioning, the support groups online help a lot. There are different fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue, and chronic illnesses groups online. National Fibromyalgia Association have some. Facebook has a lot of them. You can find just by googling them. Uh, I would try to find one that is more positively um, colored, so to say, because although we do exchange information and then we do exchange our personal experiences, it's great because you see that you're not the only one that is feeling like that. But oftentimes, by being for a long time in these groups, you tend to feel more down because it starts to feel more hopeless and seeing how bad others feel. So it's good if you can find a group where you can not only talk about how bad it feels, but also share resources with each other how to feel better so it doesn't bring you as down. Try to find that communication with somebody. It's hard to keep everything within yourself. So even if it is an online community, uh, it's still a resource. Then the other thing that I would be definitely is talking is your body, your physical body, with regards to pacing and graded exercise. When you're suffering from chronic diseases, it's hard to force yourself to go to the gym. It's hard to go for a walk. Even 5 minute walk in the morning might feel like the biggest chore. Um, Unfortunately, it becomes, as I was saying, a devil's circle. The less you move around, the more it hurts, the less uh, encouraged you are to do it. And it just ends up people not going out of the house, which leads to different other problems like depression and isolation, which definitely causes more physical health issues as well. So, trying to find the way you can pace yourself and learning about graded exercise. If you can find a physiotherapist, get a referral to physiotherapists that could show you exercise you can do just a couple minutes a day. Um, they are not jumping jacks. They are very, very subtle and gentle movements that are tailored to your own condition. Um, there's our schedules where you increase the amount of time you spend walking or doing exercises minute by minute. Where if it goes more than one point of pain increases, you stop it, and it's learning how to exercise properly without hurting yourself more but still doing it. I'm still honestly I'm not gonna lie, I'm still into the exploration phase of this, as I do understand the importance of it. I visited physiotherapist a couple times. We have talked about this, and I think I have a good understanding of it, of what I should be doing. Um, I do go for walks. Sometimes it's really hard, um, but I do know it's important. Uh, so definitely, if you can do go to the physiotherapist and try to understand what feels and what is the best for you, and maintain some type of exercise and physical activity, it's definitely good for the body. The other part is mind, and oftentimes chronic illnesses, and especially chronic pain illnesses, is good to work with psychological and mental part of the body. And it seems that the studies have shown that cognitive behavioral therapy is the most effective um, type of therapy um, to go with the rest of the treatments, hand in hand. It's not one of those therapies where you lay on a couch for 10 years and talk about your childhood. Cognitive behavioral therapy, I must say, is one I agree is one of the most effective, in a way that it shows improvement quite quick. It teaches you it gives you tools, um, how to deal with things. It shows you examples. It lets you implement things right away in your life. Um, and because you can see how it works, you can see the results of these using these tools in your life right away. It's more effective because you're more aware of it working, more aware of having an improvement. So either by having a group therapy sessions where it's like for me, it's a pain management group, or if you're more comfortable into one-on-one session with a therapist, it's definitely something to look into. I think oftentimes we underrate the importance of psychological part of pain and our health in general, but it's very tightly knit together. And then the final but not the least, probably the first one, is finding the doctor that works for you. Um, if possible, and I know not always it is, but if possible, try and find the doctor that listens to you. Try and find a doctor that, even if they don't know about your condition, can refer you to somebody who specializes in it. Um, Try to find somebody who listens to you more than 5 minutes, um, because it is very important. They're not in charge of your health, but they are there as a very good aid for it. You oftentimes do need medicine, and it takes time to figure out which kind and which type. So it's good to have a good understanding with your doctor where you can trust them on their decisions and work together with finding the best solutions. I do believe that all of these four parts of emotional support and physical, psychological parts of it, as well as medical part of it and medicine, uh, can make you feel the best of what you can feel. If it's chronic disease, unfortunately, that's why it is chronic. It's not gonna be cured, but you can try and find a way to feel better on a daily basis. And sometimes, even after finding all of that, you just need to put that do not disturb sign and just love yourself. Take a book, or just close your eyes and just not be bothered by anybody. Take your time, and even that sometimes can make us feel better just a little bit. And now I'm back, and let's see how you're doing there. Doodle says that finding the right keys, right doctor is a key. Yes, that's right. I'm so thankful that my doctors, my family doctor was so understanding that it took me less time than average person would to to get to the pain clinic because, well, actually through all of the doctors, um, because I know people takes a lot of time to do that because they don't have any understanding. Swimming would maybe good for this. Yes, I have considered swimming. I have found a swimming pool nearby, and also in the summer we have an open swimming pool here where I live in the community. Um, so I'm hoping to be brave enough to start doing more of that. I actually enjoy swimming, and it definitely is good for what I have for sure. Um, Yeah, and it, no matter helos, that's right. No matter what the condition is, the finding the good doctor is a key. Exactly, because if they don't understand what you're talking about, you're not going to feel good about yourself. You're not going to feel validated. You're not going to feel understood. There's going to be no emotional support, and it's definitely not going to, help that the way you're feeling. Um, Emotionally and physically. And I do truly believe that emotional and physical well being is very strongly connected. Um, Thank you, Danny Calls, for all the nice thoughts. I do thank you. It's very, very, very thank you. Thank you so much. Um, yeah, you were lucky to find a clinician that is compassionate and listening. That's right. And it is hard. It is hard, and oftentimes there are no choices. Oftentimes people don't have a choice of changing doctors. As I said, I'm thankful I was lucky enough to have her, but oftentimes we don't. And also, a good, in nowadays with internet, it can be a curse, of course, that people find things that makes them feel worse. But if we use it as a tool of finding better resources to help ourselves. I'm thankful for that as well because I have the tools to find the contacts for the pain clinic that I did, or find the different ways of treatments, that have tried with me. Like for example, I have tried the lidocaine intravenous injections for a little while. I think for half a year. It was once a month. They were putting IV drip to do a lidocaine, which would supposedly it's like a local anesthetic, but it would affect overall body pain. And at the beginning, it was working pretty well. Uh, I would say um, I had probably 2 good weeks, like relatively good. The pain didn't disappear like completely, but it lowered low enough that I could function pretty well and do my usual, housework and things like that. But although lidocaine, you don't develop any like tolerance to it, like you would for opioids, for example. Uh, it somehow, I guess, skipped that therapeutic window, and the last 2 injections didn't really help. So we decided to stop it for now. Mm, and so I'll always try something else. And now I'm going to be part of a trial as well. So uh, try something else that maybe work that don't have to include poking off my arm. So um, thank you for all the hugs. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, and also, also as I was saying in the slide at the end of my slide, loving yourself is a big part of it too. Being aware of the environment, being aware of what you eat,
being aware of that you need fresh air, being aware, of the dust in the room, or if it's too dark, that you have to have clean and dry environment and sun and all that. Oftentimes when we're sick, we just don't pay attention to these little things that is part of loving ourselves. And it is important. It's important to have an environment that you feel good in, that you feel comfortable in, um, that takes care of your emotional and physical health as you live in it, especially if we spend a lot of time inside the house. So that's definitely part of self-loving as well. No, there are no magical pill yet. Um, Hi, Stephanie. There's no magical pill, and I think I wish, and lots of people who suffer from it wish that there would be one, but I think they're getting closer to it because there was some news last year about being able to detect fibromyalgia with some testing, and not the exclusion testing, but actual testing where the markers would show it. So um, I'm not going to quote it because I don't know how reliable it is, but if they're getting closer to detecting the reasons and to actually see it in testing, they might, that's one step closer to developing treatment that would be geared exactly for it. Um, you know, every year we're hanging on is one more year closer to the miracle health. Um, okay, so let's get back to my quick last two slides of my today's stream. Um, the psychologist of Alan Edwards Pain Management Unit, Dr. Laurie Gelfand, she's a PhD in psychology, gracefully shared with me and allowed me to share with you guys her professional suggestions of 3 books that she was suggesting for people with chronic pain. They are differently geared books for different types of people or different types of reading. They're less of a self-help books. Um, they're educational, explanational, inspiration books, I would say. So if you're interested, I can definitely check that out. If you miss a slide, you can just message me or wait till the video uploads and check it out afterwards. Explain Pain by 2 authors, David Butler and Mosley, is an interesting book. It has pictures in it, and it might seem like a children's book at first, but it is quite interesting the way it shows in the actual physiology of pain. Um, you can even borrow it in the library and check it out, but it's worth understanding the way the pain develops and where it goes and how it affects us. The second book is Managing Pain Before It Manages You by author Caudill. It's a little bit older book. It has been reprinted though, and it's more of a workbook. It has a lot of information, but it also has some interactive aspect in it where you can work with your pain and through the book, uh, through your own experience, so to say. That book is quite interesting and I think helps discover a lot about your own personal situation. And the third book is called Pain from Suffering to Feeling Better, which was written by Josie Rivard, which is actually a psychologist, head of psychology department in Alan Edwards Pain Management Unit herself. It's based on lots of studies and very eye-opening as well. So if you're interested in any information about how to deal with pain um, and chronic pain, these 3 books suggested and advised by Dr. Laurie Gelfand, which is PhD in psychology of Allen Edwards Pain Management Unit in Montreal. You can definitely check that out. And now for you, Mayor. Oh, let me just check back to you quickly before we go to the very end of my stream. Now I lost you guys. There you are. Okay. I look like Sharon Tate. Oh, thank you. I'll have to look it up. I hope it's something good. Okay. Well, thank you. That's funny. Thank you, and thank you, Cups, for coming in, and thank you for your experience, sharing your experience as well. It's very much appreciated. Heathrog, saying I had a great doctor who really cared and ran tests, but it took 15 years to find a specialist that knew about my condition. My original doctor had never heard of it. Yes, exactly. That's right. My family doctor wasn't really aware of the details of fibromyalgia chronic fatigue syndrome. So therefore, with the help of her, we went through a whole bunch of doctors to determine what I have. But I was thankful that she could admit that it wasn't her field instead of pretending that she knows, a lot about it and dismissing me. She was advising and working with me to get through the right channels and get to the right doctors. Um, and she was listening. And I think sometimes, although we do go to the doctors because we need medical help, I think a lot of times, the first and foremost, we need somebody to listen to us. We need somebody who listens to what is wrong with us and don't dismiss us just because we don't fit their everyday, encyclopedia case of the patient. So even if it's not somebody who knows exactly what is going on with you, it's good if it's somebody who can listen about what is going on with you so you can together work as a team to find the right path. Lidocaine joke from Truth. It's fun to help the doctor with this medicine for doing surgery. You see, sometimes the needle shoots one of the medical workers instantly numb wherever it is. I wish it would get me numb, although it's funny, but it didn't get me numb though. It did work a little bit. Yeah, I wish I could not go to the doctor anymore. I am going less now though because I have found more of a systemic help to it with a pain research team and the pills that I have now. Plus, I'm going to be part of the study in the coming weeks that hopefully is going to help as well. So it's less of a research of what is going on and what to do. It's more of a path to accepting and finding what works best for me right now. But I wish I wouldn't have to go to the doctor. I'm not going there because I want to, believe me, take so much time away from everyday life. And yes, bottle cap, sometimes everyday life and emotional pain is what inflicts the physical one with regards to your comment about the divorce. Oh. Okay, well, so if you guys ready to finish up with me any minute now, I have prepared a little something here for you. Now, one of the ways we learn how to deal with the pain, and one of the part of the cognitive behavioral therapy is learning those tools, as I was saying, learning the tools of dealing with pain when it comes on as a flare, dealing with stressful situations that might be triggers for the pain. And oftentimes, therapists and studies suggest to try and learn meditation, mindfulness, relaxation techniques. And there are lots of them out there. There are lots of apps on your phone. If you search on iOS, on iTunes, or Google Play, or anywhere on the net where you can find either websites or apps um, helping you be more mindful, giving you tips on relaxation. Um, one of them that I tried was called Headspace, which was really good. And it eases you into relaxation techniques and finds different lengths and different um, levels of relaxation techniques. Um, it might not be for everybody. It also might not be for everybody at the beginning, but um, if you stick with it, oftentimes with time, it actually does help. It's not an instant relief tool. It's something that gets acquired as you learn to get used to it more and more. There have been lots of people that I know that were very dismissive about visualization and relaxation techniques beforehand, but were quite for it afterwards once they tried it for a couple times. So don't give up on things just because you don't like it the first time. Try a couple times before you completely dismiss it. As I was saying, cognitive therapy also gives you tools that you might find useful on daily day basis. For example, when there are stressful triggers, to learn beforehand what you are going to do when that stressful things come. So one of them, maybe is uh, trying to put your index finger and your thumb together, press them together, and that actually helps focusing your brain on something else than a stressful situation. It helps also focusing your memory, not only by the movement on it and because you're actually paying attention to it more, but because of all the little receptors that we had on the ends of our fingers or in our fingertips. Um, it they actually are very responsive to the touch. So therefore, it is not only psychological but also quite physical effect uh, that helps us to deter our mind from the stressful situation. So try doing that. Might sound silly, but after a couple times of doing it, it might work for you. Just try it out. It's easy as that. You don't need to buy anything. You don't need to do anything special. Just put your fingers together next time you feel worried or stressed, uh, and see if it helps. The other way of another tool that I might give to you um, is training your breathing. Once again, there are different ways of breathing, different breathing techniques that might help you. One of them that I find helped me a lot is pacing your breathing in the same um, length for breathing in and breathing out, for inhaling and exhaling. Once again, it's not only focusing your mind into movements of your diaphragm, your whole body, as you're breathing in and out, because in order for you to breathe the same amount of time in and out, you gotta consciously think about it. We don't naturally do it. So that's one of the things why it helps. But also from chemical point of view, um, it releases endorphins that otherwise are asleep in our brain for most of the time. Um, so it works not only from attention point of view, but also from physically chemical point of view. And therefore, I have a little something for you that you can use. You can train yourself with a tool that I'm going to show you to breathe evenly with exhale and inhale. And then once you acquire the rhythm of it for you, you can use it at any time by yourself when you find yourself in stressful or triggered situation. If you want to raise your voice, if you are stressed about your kids, or the bus is not coming in time, anywhere. You can train yourself to do it anywhere. And then after a while, it will come to you naturally every time, or almost every time the stressful event appears. So let me show you that. Um, and Okay, now let me share it with you first so we can show it. Okay. Okay, it's called Breathe with a Shape. And now this is the wrong, sorry guys. It's called Breathe with a Shape. Basically, what you do is it's going to show you how long to breathe in and how long to breathe out. You can find these online. If you look in Google, you can also find it on YouTube as different ways of doing it. I found this one, I use it a lot, and now I kind of do it by myself as well. But now this here might be a bit better. Okay. So you breathe in as it expands, and you breathe out. You breathe in as the shape expands, and you breathe out as it comes down again. You might find it hard first, because our body is not used to having the same length of breath for breathing in and breathing out. You might feel uncomfortable at first, maybe get winded. So if you do, please don't continue it. Don't want you to feel unwell. But you basically train yourself doing your exhale and inhale for the same amount of time. So you inhale and you exhale. And you stop when you feel better in the moment. So as I said, this is something that you can do a little bit at a time to get your body more acquired to the way of breathing, as we're naturally not used to this type of breathing. But it's a great little tool to have for the times when you do feel stressed and triggered. It's free, it's easily learnable, acquirable, and it's there for you at any time of day and night. There you go. How did you guys do with the breathing? Sorry about that. Yes, Susie, there are different types of breathing. The type that you're talking about, the breathing through your nose, is, yes, the diaphragm breathing. There are different types of breathing. and they have different effects on the way our brain, our chemical interaction with the brain works as well. So definitely that's one of them, what you are talking about. Um, and the one that I just showed, breathe with the shape, that's a different type of breathing. It definitely requires focus, but it also releases different types of endorphins, and it usually does with our usual type of breathing volume. It brings more volume, more oxygen into the body as well. So there are numerous effects of it. So uh, you can, yeah, it is a little bit like mindfulness meditation. A lot of breathing exercises is partly mindful, tiny mindfulness exercise. Of course, mindfulness in general is a so much bigger thing of self-awareness and things like that, but definitely has a little bit of mindfulness as well into that. So how did you guys feel? Yes, I have tried. Yes, I have tried different types of breathing, different types of them, and I find this one works the best for me just because it works the best in the stressful situations. I can literally physically feel the way it changes my mood, if I can say. Uh, it's really, it really helps. It really helps the way I feel. Sometimes when I want to argue with somebody or I want to, like, I get very, very upset, I visualize back to this breathing shape, to this amazing lilac color, which could be any other color that you like, but this amazing lilac color. And I visualize it in my head, and I'm breathing together with the shape as we were just doing all together. And it helps. It helps. I don't want to argue. I don't want to be upset. It's just a little. It's a little fun, but great tool that is free and so helpful. So definitely something to try it out, but it's definitely not the only thing to try out there. There's lots of things out there to find that might fit right for you. Uh, Yes, it's like unlocking a secret. That's right. And that's why I wanted to share with you guys too. And if you guys have anything, as you were sharing your breathing technique as well, if you guys have anything that you are using for a piece of your own mind or something on a daily basis that you use, definitely put it in a chat or in a comment afterwards when the video is uploaded. I'm sure there's going to be people benefiting from having that information. Um, Yes, Steph Opal is saying that exercise, swimming helps her. Breathing is very good. Or grab a guitar, or play piano. Yeah, whatever works for you. I love drawing, so um, although I don't find enough time, probably as I would love to, even a little bit doing that just takes my mind off away from it. So, whatever helps for you to in a self-loving journey, as we're going back to my slides about self-love, that definitely helps as well. Distractions help. A lot of times, you know, also hated mobile games of Candy Crush or witch hunt or whatever it is that you like is good, not just for time wasters, but it's good for distraction. It's good when you're in a lot of pain to play it, and it kind of makes you focus on something else. It's good to have tools. The whole point of this, what I'm talking about, is to try and acquire a toolbox of things that you can use for feeling better, no matter if it is a breathing technique, if it is a certain smell of the candle that you like that makes you feel better, if it is, a certain place in the city that you live that makes you feel better, if it's a book or a movie that you have read or watched for 100 times, um, if it's a doctor or a person that you can call and ask for advice or just talk to, Um, I think each of us need to have this toolbox. So then when we are in a situation where we are in pain, physical or emotional, we can reach to that toolbox, the same as handyman would, and reach out and take the tool that is the best for situation and use it. And if it's there, we don't have to go and look for it in the stores and, somewhere in the cupboard. We know that it's inside that toolbox and it's always there for us, available for when we need it. Well, thank you, Stefan, for being here. You guys, the ones that are supporting me and people with hashtag Millions Missing, raising awareness. We are all together raising awareness for this issue, being part of this initiative, hashtag Millions Missing all over the world, part of more than 100 countries all across, virtually and on ground, talking about these issues, sharing their experience, their personal experience. So thank you for being with me. Thank you for making this happen. Um, well, in emergencies, you use a flame as an imagination tool, inspired actually by Randall Thor, forgetting the book series. Yeah. Let the issues feed into the flame, letting go, not steering yourself up. Yes, that's very good. Visualization is a very good tool on that too. Very good. And the more you do these things, as a psychologist, you know, educated person with education in psychology, I can say that the more you do that, the more you train your mind in it, the better it works for you, the more effective it is for you. That's why I suggest not to give up on it after the first couple of times. It might not right away work. Now, just get it quiet, gotta get your mind work, um, learn and adapt to it, and it works in time for sure. Yes, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, and a big hug to those who have their mothers passed away, or for those who can't have kids of their own. Big hug goes to those. I know it's um, it is a issue sometimes that Mother's Day can be a happy and sad moment at the same time, kind of bittersweet. So, having Mother's Day to tomorrow for all of you guys. We're celebrating it, and a big hug to those who feel a bit sad tomorrow. Thank you for reminding me. Um, well, if I think probably I'm gonna just hang around with you for 2 minutes more, and guys, in case guys you have a question or two, and we'll have to say bye to you guys. Tomorrow we are not going live, but we are releasing our video, the Living Photo series tomorrow, released on Mother's Day. So please look forward to our video. And we're going to be back live on Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, as we always are every day from Monday to Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern, right here, same time, same place. Thank you, everybody who were here. Thank you, Steph Opel and Beauty and the Burr, Ball Caps. I miss my mom too. And I think that's why it is still bittersweet. Although I have my own kitties, um, it is bittersweet since my mom has passed away. But um, I think it's also a day for those that care for you. Um, mothers is not only what we are connected by blood. um, So thank you very much for sticking with me. Please share this video with people around you in your networks, even after the live stream is done. It's going to be uploaded up there for people to watch. I hope there is some information for people that might be interesting. And so please share if you can. Leave the comment afterwards once it's uploaded. Tell people that you were here. Share your experience if you want to, or any tools or suggestions that you might think of that might be useful for people that are watching this video afterwards. I appreciate it so much. And if you have any questions to me, you know where to find me at Puša Studios, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, almost anywhere. And my name is Ksenia, and I am Puša Studios, one half of Puša Studios. And I will see you on Monday. Thank you for sticking around. Keep creating, and I love you all.